Moneghetti looks like he's almost got a little smile on his face.
I think they're going to come down to a sprint finish between the two, and it's at this time you find out exactly who's got what left.
Well, we mentioned before how well Steve Moneghetti has been running on the tracks in recent times, having gone under 28 minutes for 10,000 metres. But hello, is this it? Is this the moment for Douglas Wakihuri with less than a kilometre to go?
Now the wind is coming in off the sea, and you saw as soon as Wakihuri went in the lead, Moneghetti came over onto this side of him to get as much shelter as he could. So we're down into about the last 800 metres.
Wakihuri just becoming a little more aggressive, but he still hasn't unleashed his sprint yet.
But he's put the pressure on Moneghetti. Moneghetti looking around behind him. That's a bad sign. See Moneghetti's coach in the background, Rabbit Wardlaw, shouting at him.
Tanzanian in third place, Wakihuri, Moneghetti.
Now Wakihuri looks like he's gone to the front okay. Moneghetti's just gone too tired. His head's gone back a little bit. He's finding it tough. I think he needs to be worried about this man, Simon Robin, behind him, perhaps.
So into the last couple of hundred metres, and that smooth acceleration of Douglas Wakihuri, who's run such a mature, such a controlled race. And he seems certain to get his hands on the gold medal. The first Kenyan ever to win the gold medal in the marathon at the Commonwealth Games. It seems remarkable given their tremendous record in long distance running that they've never picked up the gold medal in this event before, but they today, the world champion Douglas Wakihuri, who will win the gold medal in the Commonwealth Games marathon in 1990. Getting a tremendous reception, a man who's really adopted New Zealand as one of his homes away from home in recent years. He's got a big following in New Zealand, a very popular victory to the man who can probably lay claim now to being the world's #1 marathon runner. Douglas Wakihuri wins the gold medal in 2 hours, 10 minutes and 26 seconds. And in a virtual repeat of the London Marathon in 1989. Just a couple of seconds behind comes Steve Moneghetti, and the Tanzanian Simon Robert absolutely delighted. He's come out of nowhere and won a bronze medal for his country. '26-year-old Douglas Wakihuri, silver medalist at the Olympic Games, world champion in 1980, and gold medalist in 1990 in Auckland. And look at Simon Robert Nally. I think he wants to run another marathon.
He's bouncing around, easing his legs, but Wakihuri, what a great runner. You won't find him in the top 10 in the fastest times, but he prepares himself to win the big race, and that's what it's all about with this man. He doesn't necessarily worry about time. He's competitive. He wants to be the winner and the gold medalist, and he's proven that he's a champion, and this is how he finished the race. The smiles came on his face as he came down. He raised his arms in victory. Not an emotional man is Douglas Wakihuri, but he showed emotion now, and there he is, a happy man, a tired man, and a gold medal winner. The 3 medalists, all of them must be very pleased with their race.
A great friendship amongst these marathon runners, rather like the decathlon at the end of it all. The camaraderie comes through. And Steve Moneghetti, who looks surprisingly fresh. There's been a few casualties on the Auckland waterfront this morning in these very humid conditions, but Moneghetti ran a superb race. It was only in the last 100 metres that he was run by Douglas Wakihuri for the gold medal. But he's gone one step further than he did in 1986 when he won the bronze medal. He picks up the silver medal, and Douglas Wakihuri becomes the first Kenyan to win a gold medal in the marathon at the Commonwealth Games. Kenya pick up their second gold medal here at these games. Julius Kariuki winning the steeplechase a couple of days ago, and now Douglas Wakihuri in a time of 2 hours, 10 minutes and 27 seconds. He has run faster than that, and this, I suspect, is the 4th place getter, Steve Jones. He can be very pleased with his performance. 2 hours, 12 minutes in these conditions represents a world-class performance. 34-year-old Welshman just missing out on a medal. He was one of the Magnificent Seven, as we termed them, the this field had all gone under 2 hours and 10 minutes. Ibrahim Hussein, the Kenyan, who's going to come home in 5th place. He was in that leading bunch for the first 20 Ks, but the conditions got to him over the second stage of the race. He couldn't match it with Wakihuri, Moneghetti and Robert Nali. But he comes home in a very creditable 5th place in 2 hours, 13 minutes and 20 seconds. And shortly we should be seeing Rex Wilson. In fact, I think I heard his name on the public address system. He can't be far away from the finish. Let's hope we see him.
There's the other Kenyan finished in 6th place, and here's Rex Wilson coming in 7th, Brendan.
Well, let's have a look at that time. That's a good time for Rex Wilson. He ran 2 hours and 12 minutes in his first marathon at Long Beach last year. That's a very good performance indeed from Rex Wilson. 2 hours, 13 minutes and 52 seconds for 7th place.
No doubt about it. We should be very proud of Rex under these difficult conditions. He went out and tried to put it with the leaders at the front of the race. He made it a competitive race, and he's finished. And here comes this man that had so much trouble in the middle of the race. Jeffrey Whiteman coming in 8th place.
That's a personal best for him too, 2 hours, 14 minutes. He overcame that horrible patch in the middle where he was suffering from cramp and dehydration. And his perseverance paid off. Perseverance, such an important quality you must have when you want to run these marathons.
Tough for me, but we had a lot of wind, which is just normal. I used to train on this coast, so I was expecting some wind. But there was a lot of wind today than other days.
It's a rerun of the London Marathon.
We caught a few words there from this impromptu press conference that Douglas Wakihuri seems quite happy to conduct just a couple of minutes after this race, dealing with the world's press with the sophistication of a man who can mix comfortably in many different cultures. As we said before, he can speak Swahili, he can speak English, he can speak Japanese. And I also understand from a member of the support group who's been in contact with us over the last half an hour that he also speaks a bit of French and Swedish. Not just a gifted athlete, but a gifted linguist as well. That's the scene from high above, looking down on the course here, looking along the course that they've been running for the last 2.5 hours, along the city beaches, out to St Heliers, the finish line. That big domain that you can see there is where the Auckland City to Surf Run finishes, and it's also the venue today for the conclusion of the marathon. Just repeating the news that Rex Wilson has finished, I think it was in 7th place, did we say, John? 7th place in 2 hours, 13 minutes and 23 seconds. Paul Herlihy is still out on the course, and sadly, John Campbell pulled out of the race over the second half. We understand probably suffering from dehydration and cramp. It's the Welshman, I think, Steve Brace, second of the 2 Welshmen coming in. Behind his more renowned compatriots, Steve Jones, who finished in 5th place, and Brace probably finishing in about 9th or 10th place. So there it is. It was a wonderful race here this morning. Wonderful because it wasn't until the last 100 metres we knew where the medals were going. And we can thank Steve Moneghetti, Simon Robert Nelly from Tanzania, and also, of course, these 2 men, Douglas Wakihuri and Robert De Castella and Juma Inkanga, who played an important part in the first 10 Ks, the 2 men that fought out the 1982 marathon in Brisbane. But it wasn't to be their day today. It belonged to Douglas Wakihuri. He won the gold medal, Steve Moneghetti won the silver medal, and Simon Robert Nelly from Tanzania took the bronze.
Douglas Wakihuri of Kenya, able to converse in several languages, and that's after running a marathon in 2 hours 10.26, 2 hours 10 minutes and 26 seconds. Let's go back to Brendan Telfer now.
Well, we're just waiting here in the hope that we might see Paul Herlihy finish. He was running on about 2 hour 14, 2 hour 15 pace at the 30k mark, so he's obviously slowed down a bit over the last 10 Ks, but if he's still in the race, he shouldn't be far away from the finish line.
This is Magali from Lesotho coming in to finish. I read where these guys had a carbohydrate loading hangi a couple of days ago to prepare for the event.
De Castella and Inkanga still out on the course, along with 598 Ernest Tjela from Lesotho, approaching St Heliers and the finish line. De Castella, who won the gold medal in the last 2 at Edinburgh in '86 and in his home country in Australia in 1982. Looking for an unprecedented third gold medal today, but not to be. So as Robert De Castella approaches the finish line, but it's Steve Moneghetti that's toast of Australia at the moment. He's talking to Channel 9 right now. Well, we understood he was about to speak to Channel 9 on his performance today. We might catch up with Moneghetti in just a moment. In the meantime, let's just bring Robert De Castella, Ikanga and Tajala home. And they're having a little race all of their own. And a smile, I think, on the face there of De Castella. Ikanga this time manages to get, there's a certain irony there, manages to get the better of Robert De Castella, and I think the Australian can see that. His thoughts probably going back to 1982 when he reversed the roll and ran down the 10th the gold medal. Robert De Castella finishes, but let's hear from Steve Moneghetti.
Far down the track since London, but obviously just too good again on the day.
There was obviously nothing you could do. Was it a very tough race in these conditions?
Well, I was trying to do something. I was trying to run harder, but the legs just wouldn't go. So it was fairly humid out there, but perfect conditions really, and nice breeze off the bay, and just, I can't complain. I had a good race, and it was just better on the day.
Were you happy with the time?
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. I said to my wife this morning, Tanya, I said it'll be around 2:10, and if I had ran 2:10, I would have won it. So I think that's pretty reasonable. It's got a fairly fast course.
Congratulations, Steve.
Another world-class performance there from Steve Moneghetti, who only runs one marathon a year. That's only the 5th marathon he's run in the last, well, in fact, since he ran his first marathon 4 years ago. And every one of them has been a very high finish. He's never done worse than 5th, and he's never run slower than 2 hours and 12 minutes. As Douglas Wakihuri makes his way to the recovery tent.
He's limping a little bit, Brendan, so he has knocked his legs around. He may have a little blister or something, but after you've run 42 kilometres, you're allowed to do that.
And there's big boy Matt Lepeng from Botswana. We remember him from Edinburgh in 1986 when he finished a 14th in the marathon there in 2 hours and 20 minutes, and he's going to finish in exactly the same time 4 years later here in New Zealand.
Yes, and Big Boy works for a mining company in his country in Botswana, and he became a great friend of the New Zealanders in 1986 in Edinburgh, and always came around with the New Zealand team when we went to functions.
So still no sign of Paul Herlihy, unless we may have missed him while we're away at the interview. I thought he probably would have finished by now.
Otsemi Godsang also from Botswana coming in, 2 hours 20:45. Everybody coming in now, of course, is very tired.
Certainly Steve Moneghetti looked remarkably fresh, and interesting to hear that he wasn't by either the wind or the humidity.
Well, that is good, and I think the course played a good part in making this such a good contest today. Got the good runners here, and it provided a very fair course for for everybody. And of course, marathon runners throughout New Zealand who compete in things like the Rotorua Marathon and so on in their thousands know what it's to be like to be tired at the end of a marathon.